So the internet's been on a roll talking about the Switch 2 and the Switch 1 and moving on to new consoles, and the internet's pretty divided right now as to whether they're going to jump on board and be early adopters of the Switch 2, whether you're going to be like really excited day one, or whether you're maybe a little bit more laid back about the idea as of right now. That maybe you're not too sure whether you want to get in on the ground floor or whether you want to wait for a little while. A lot of people are upset about the price of the console, the price potentially of certain games, as well as some of the, business decisions that Nintendo's made, like having these game key cards. That means a lot of your games are not going to be physically on the cartridge. Some of the news that Nintendo's put out regarding their update to their terms of service that allows them to brick their consoles, which I guess they've always really been able to do. If you do something like pirating or hacking your console or whatever, that they could potentially brick your console, make it unusable. So there are a lot of people that are upset about certain things surrounding the Switch 2. I'm in the camp that's kind of in the middle. I was, for the longest time, excited for the Switch 2. This whole generation, I've just been a huge Switch fan and super interested in what was going to come next. And I still am to some degree, but since it was officially revealed and some of the games were officially revealed, I just kind of lost a lot of my excitement because the games aren't there for me. Donkey Kong looks nifty, but that's not a game I need to play right away on day one. Mario Kart, not a system seller to me. Great game, I'm sure, and a game that I will buy eventually, but there is no rush to play Mario Kart. There just isn't. I don't need to buy a $700 console day one to play Mario Kart. As far as system sellers for me, I've made a list of 10 games that I want to see come to the Switch 2 before I am really going to say, yeah, this is a console that I need to have in my game collection right now. And a lot of these games I could probably play on my Steam Deck or my ROG Ally, but once we get to a place where we have a good number of these games, that's when I'm going to buy in. I'm not going to buy a Switch 2 right now because the software is just not there for me. As far as the third-party software that they've announced, I can already play that stuff right here on my PC or on my ROG Ally or on my Steam Deck. So I'm really interested in the first-party stuff and the stuff that is likely going to be exclusive even for a little while. So Zelda is a really important franchise to me. I absolutely love Zelda, and whatever they are going to do next after Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom lit the world on fire, they're gonna have to do something different this time. They can't just make another copy-paste game. So they're gonna have to up the ante and do something crazy and innovative again. And when that happens, when that new Zelda game comes out, which I feel like, Tears of the Kingdom is like 2 years old now or something. I feel like it's going to be at least 2 or 3 years before we get the next big budget Zelda. Well, we may get something like a remake, a remaster, or a smaller title, a 2D title or something to fill the gap between here and there. And the jury's out whether I will need to run out and grab a Switch 2 to play, say, Twilight Princess Remake or something. I can probably wait for that. But that next big, huge AAA Zelda game, that's definitely going to be a day one purchase for me, and that's going to be a reason to buy the Switch 2. Next, Animal Crossing. I bought my Switch 1 about 2 weeks before Animal Crossing launched in 2020, and it was one of the first games that I bought. I bought it digitally and I played it for hundreds of hours. Animal Crossing, during that period of time, just like for so many others of you out there, Animal Crossing was so important to me and to my mental health during that crazy time during the pandemic. And I've gone back and replayed Animal Crossing twice more since then. I love that game, New Horizons, and I want to see what they're going to do next to one-up themselves. So Animal Crossing, new edition, whatever they do, that's going to be something that will convince me to drop the money down on a Switch 2. All right, going into the third-party arena, we know that Stellar Blade was a fantastic sci-fi RPG action-type game that came to Sony's platform last year. We know that it is coming to PC very, very soon. And if I could play that on my Nintendo Switch, that would be a game that maybe not make me run out and buy the console just for that, but that would be definitely a game that I would be interested in playing on the console alongside something like my Zelda purchase and my Animal Crossing purchase. I still haven't played the game. I'm very interested in playing the game, and if I had a choice to choose where to buy it, I would probably buy it on the Switch if it was available. All right, Dragon Quest XII. We have been waiting for this game for quite some time. Dragon Quest XI came out right at the beginning of the Switch's life cycle. Dragon Quest XII was announced, I feel like it must have been 4 years ago, and we're coming up on Dragon Quest Day in just a couple of days here, where we're expecting to see some Dragon Quest announcements, hopefully around Dragon Quest XII, and not just the 1 and 2 remakes that we're expecting to see this year. I would really love to see Dragon Quest XII come to the Nintendo Switch, immediately. It's probably not going to be this year, or I feel like we would have heard about it already, but we are coming up on E3, not E3 season here. I've booked the day off for Summer Games Fest, June 6th, I believe that is. So I booked that day off. I'm going to have some friends over. We're going to see what Jeff Keighley brings to the table as far as 2025 announcements and things like that. But Dragon Quest XII, man, that would seal the deal for me immediately. A new Dragon Quest game. I absolutely love the series. Here's another one that just came out recently, and I think this is totally possible. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. If I was going to buy this game, I would want a physical copy on the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't have a PS5. I don't have an Xbox Series X. I could play the game on Steam on one of my devices here or whatever. I have checked it out on PC Game Pass. It looks like a pretty cool game that I want to own physically, and I think the Switch 2 would be the perfect place for that. I don't know. What do you think? Kind of veering in a different direction here. Nintendo needs a legit racing sim along the lines of Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsport, not Forza Horizon. I know Microsoft is putting their games on different platforms now, and it's possible that Forza could make its way over to the Switch, but I would rather see a wholly unique experience come to the Nintendo Switch. We do not have really racing sims on Nintendo platforms in the last couple of generations at all. We have games like Fast RMX, which is like an F-Zero style game. We have some games like Burnout Paradise Remastered, but that's not really a racing sim. That's an open world sandboxy sort of game. We really need a Gran Turismo type experience on the Nintendo Switch 2, and if something like even just give us Forza Motorsport and not Forza Horizon, or both, that would be great too, on the Switch 2, I would be a very happy puppy. Let's see, what else have we got? There's been rumblings and, rumors and things like that of Bandai and Monolith getting together to do a Xeno Saga Trilogy remake. And those games, particularly Xenosaga 3, is so expensive now that it is priced out of most people's reach. Xenosaga 1 and 2 aren't too expensive, but they're definitely less accessible, being stuck on the PS2. These games have a pedigree that is loosely attached to the Xeno Blade games on the Nintendo Switch, and I think it makes a perfect fit for these games to get moved forward onto a Nintendo platform, and maybe other platforms at the same time as well. But being able to play these games that are so closely tied to these other games that people absolutely love on the Nintendo Switch, Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think it's a no-brainer at this point, and Bandai has shown themselves to be pretty willing to remake their old stuff, so I think it's a possibility, and I would absolutely love to see that happen, and I would love to be able to experience those games not only on a modern system, but hopefully with some modern quality of life changes, things like that could help speed the games up a little bit. And then another one here, we haven't really talked about the HD 2D craze too much, but I think it's time for Chrono Trigger to get a whole new coat of paint. Of course, we had Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo, we had Chrono Trigger on the DS, we had Chrono Trigger on the PS1, but those were all basically the original game, just with maybe some more cutscenes added in or things like that. It's time for a complete remodel of that game, and I think HD 2D, the style that was used in games like Octopath Traveler and the recent Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake, or Star Ocean the Second Story R, that look needs to be applied to Chrono Trigger, and we need to have an opportunity to play this game in a modern context, a modern way, with some modern quality of life changes. It's almost a perfect game as it is, but it's really time for a new perspective on this game. Alright, getting towards the end of the list here, the Like a Dragon series particularly. We have seen games like some of the earlier Yakuza games get moved over to Switch. During the Switch generation, Sega seemed to be hesitant to put the Yakuza games on the Switch platform. They seemed to think they were maybe a little too mature-oriented for the Switch audience. They're realizing the error of their ways now, and I think it's absolutely likely that we're going to see the Like a Dragon games, particularly the Ichiban games, Like a Dragon and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I want to see those two games on the Nintendo Switch platform. I want to own them physically. I hope they get a proper physical cartridge and not one of those game key cards. But if those games come forward, I played Like a Dragon on the Xbox One. I still have not played Infinite Wealth, and I'm waiting for a viable way to play it. So if those came to the Switch too, that would definitely be something that would convince me to buy. And then the last game I want to mention here, I already own on Steam, but I want to own a physical copy of this game for posterity, and that is Sandland, Akira Toriyama's last game that he worked on before he died. This game is fantastic, folks. I absolutely love it, and I want to own a physical copy of it. This is kind of an open world sandboxy game with missions and things to do, and adventure and action combat and vehicle combat and so much cool stuff in this game, and I absolutely want to own a physical copy on a portable device like the Nintendo Switch. I currently play it on my ROG Ally, but I just want that physical copy to put on my shelf. Anyways, guys, what are the 10 games that you are waiting for, if you're waiting at all? What is your dream wish list? What are the 10 games that you think should come to the Nintendo Switch? Let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear your suggestions for games that you want to see on the new, shiny new Nintendo Switch 2. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, stay classy.